Hello and welcome to those of you joining live. Drop a little hello in the chat box. Let me know that you can see me loud and clear. Chat box. Last time people said that they couldn't speak in the chat box. And there was only a Q&A box. Let me say hello. Hosts, that says hosts and panelists. Everyone. Okay, this might do it. Okay, I've said hello to everyone. Let's see if that works. Yeah, there's a Q&A box. Only in the Q&A says D. Sorry, Di. Di like Diane. Okay, let me just bear with me a moment, guys. Let me quickly check the settings. How did we do this last time? I've said hello in the chat box. Webinar chat. Can anyone see the hello that I've sent in the webinar chat? Oh, no, only Q&A. It says chat is disabled. Chat says disabled. Loving the cock-a-doodle-doo. Yeah, there's some. I can see a hello but can't reply. Okay. Yeah, there's some roosters in the background. Bear with me for one moment. On Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. Go to the chat. And then go. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's worked. If someone can drop a hello into the chat box. I believe I have made it available. You can see hello, can't respond. So currently type. Gotcha. Okay, we are underway. We are underway. Excellent. So, hello and welcome to Charmaine, Christina, Di, Fee, Janet, Karen, Nicole, Stasansky, and Valerie. Good to have you all here. I think that's Krista Lee. Correct me if I'm wrong. Welcome, guys. Good to have you all here. We're going to be diving into really cool exploration of the 4 primary shadow archetypes this evening. I'll be sharing some personal stories that I've had with each archetype, and all of which will be giving you deeper insight into your biggest emotional blocks at the current time and what you can do about removing them so you can move forward. First thing that I would love to hear from you all, though, is why are you here? Why are you here and what are you wanting to get out of this evening? You have come along and you are investing your time. Why are you here and what are you wanting to get out of this evening? If you could drop that into the chat box, that would be fantastic. Cool. Yeah, Janet, that's all good. On this webinar, it will only be myself with video. Janet wants to further the personal growth. So what I would invite all of you guys to do is to start off being a bit more specific. What does further my personal growth mean? What does deepen my inner work actually mean? And what are you wanting that to look like for you? Because from an objective standpoint, further personal growth, deepen my inner work are 2 vague general answers. And so I personally don't really know what you mean by that. And the universe also is going to have difficulty responding to that because it's quite vague and general. So it's really in your benefit to be more specific with your answers here. It takes a little bit more time. It takes a little bit more effort, but you will yield far greater results and benefits from the more time and effort that you put in. So curious to know what do these things mean for you? Nicole, to understand myself more in regards to the archetypes. Gotcha. And have a think about what's the purpose of that for you. Whether you put it into the chat box or not is completely up to you. Whatever you do put into the chat box with greater specificity has me more tuned into you in general, and will naturally result in me being able to speak to your answers more effectively. But like I said, whether you put it into the chat box or not is irrelevant. I just invite you, it might be with your pen and your pad, I invite you to bring more specificity to your answer. Okay. B says, needing to get on top of my archetype. It holds my potential back. Cool. So some more specificity there would be great. And also just the language here of it holds my potential back, or it holds back my potential. No, it doesn't. That's you putting blame out onto the shadow and blame out onto the archetype, and therefore not taking responsibility for being the one who holds yourself back. So I'm going to be looking at language here this evening, as I always do. And know that using that language feed has a subtlety and a nuance of putting blame out onto the archetype as the thing that's holding you back, rather than taking responsibility yourself for being the one who holds yourself back. Di, as in Diane, says, I'm feeling lost at the moment. I've left a career due to mental health and I've been doing mum duties. But other than that, I'm not too sure of the direction of where I'm going. And I'm interested to learn why I do what I do and how it fits into the archetypes. Beautiful. Love that for you. Charmaine, I just trusted my intuition that I had to be here. So I'm open and trusting that I'll get out of it what I need to get out of it right now. Cool. Nicole, more ability to move through emotions and fears to move closer to my desire for financial freedom, self-sustainable homemaker lifestyles. Very cool. Janet says to have much clearer, stronger, and cleaner intention to achieve my goals. Well, you will certainly get that here with the first two archetypes we look at, the first two shadow ones. I need to be more aware and able to deal with any counter intention that I may have that causes me to limit myself. Cool. Crystal Lee says, more of a comprehensive understanding of the archetypes and how they influence my life directly. After the analysis with you about being in my prostitute archetype, I feel I'm now mastering my lover. Awesome. I'd love to explore more with the others and see how they're playing out in my field too. T says, thanks, you're welcome. Christina says, I'm looking to understand why I get in my way even when I receive the support. I freeze when it's time to take action. I want to gain insight, clarity, so that I can pick up when I'm getting ready to act in default, as in hide instead of by design. Very cool. Karen, I recently experienced surrender in my business and came back to a state of more stillness. So I trust that your insights will allow me to reflect on any parts that I might still need to let go of and more clarity. Great. Awesome. Well, brilliant start with my in responding to my first piece of feedback. Sometimes I'll be sitting up like this. Sometimes I'll be sitting back like that. So you will work with me and my tilts of the laptop as we go through. And I would also just love to welcome Melanie to the call. Melanie Buckthorpe. What a fucking awesome last name that is. And Lisa Smith. Melanie Buckthorpe. I just watched Lord of the Rings, and I'm reading the Lord of the Rings books. I'm at the way back end of the second one. And Buckthorpe just gives me a hobbit feel, you know, Brandy Buck, Peregrine Took. It just that's the first thing that popped into my mind. So yeah, I thought I would just mention that there. Who here likes the Lord of the Rings? Raise your hands. Andrew loves the Lord of the Rings, by the way. I think it's a incredible stories. Yeah, a couple of raised hands. And Melanie says, thanks. Val raises the hand. Love the movie, says Christina. Charmaine says, never seen it. It's good. I love them. I think they're really great. Charmaine, I also feel like there's something I'm not seeing or avoiding. I almost didn't get on and noticed some excuses coming up. Valid or not, I noticed and chose to get on here, so I am great. Lisa, never seen it, but open to it. Awesome movies. Really awesome movies. About to start reading with my son for homeschool. Very cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to read the books. I've watched the movies a number of times, and now I'm reading the books, and it's been quite cool. All right, guys, excellent stuff. Thank you for sharing your intentions. So let's take a look at what I'm going to be sharing this evening with you all. Over here, kick the slideshow off we'll go from the beginning. The 4 primary shadow archetypes with myself, your host, Andrew Pierce. What we'll explore on the call. So we're going to look at the 4 pillars of conscious creation and how the 4 primary shadow archetypes and 4 light archetypes fit into those pillars. I will talk through the prostitute and the lover, the child and the sovereign, the victim and the warrior, the saboteur and the magician. And then at the end, I'm going to share with you an offer that I have of a one-to-one shadow archetype analysis. Many of you on this call have been through one before. Some of you haven't. If you've been through one before and you want another one, the offer stands and is completely open and available to you. They are at quite a good price at the moment, and then going up in price. What are we at today? Tuesday. Going up in price this Thursday. I'll speak more about that at the end of the conversation. But let's get started. So the first thing that I want to say is, it's very valid if at times in your personal growth you felt like you're not getting it, you're not understanding it, maybe you're not doing enough, you don't want things bad enough, and feeling like you're failing or things aren't quite working. I have felt that way many times in personal development, where there is so much information being thrown at you at times that there can be an overwhelm of information and an overwhelm of like, oh, fuck, so many things to look at, so many things to work on, which can trigger a feeling of just like not enough time. And so if you relate to that or resonate with that at all, just drop that into the chat box with a yes. And I want you to know that is completely normal. Completely normal. It happens. And that on this call here, I'm not here to bombard you with a massive amount of information, really. What I'm here to do more so is give you quality insight, so that the quality insight can really support you in living a life by design, being a person of value in the world, contributing to your community, to your audience, in whatever way it might be. And then also having a good life that you get to live, of work-life balance, of lifestyle, of freedom, of contribution, and of really feeling like you are someone who is in control. And what I mean by that is, whether you work as an employee, you feel that you can get the jobs that you want to get, you can get the promotions that you want to get. If you are a business owner, you feel that you can create the money that you want to create, you can work with the clients that you want to work, you can work the hours that you want to work. You don't feel that you are at the mercy of anything else. And the primary archetypes certainly help. Before I move on, I'm just going to check the chat box. Yep, says Nicole. Janet says yes. Charmaine Fee all say yes. Val says yes, however, finally feeling like I'm getting on top of it. Fantastic. And Lisa says, who doesn't want that? Absolutely. Cool. So here we have 4 pillars of conscious creation. Pillar number 1, and the starting point of creation. And what I invite you guys to do throughout this entire webinar, and I'll check in with you, is play along. I'll ask you questions, play along, add it into the chat box. The more that you play along, the more that I can provide guidance for you. And the more that you play along in real time, the more that you can apply the teachings right now to what I'm sharing. So I will encourage you to pop something into the chat box in a second. But pillar one is to know your desire. This is the start point of, or the starting point of change. It's the starting point of creation, is what do I want? What would I love to create? What do I feel like doing? What do I want to have? What do I want to experience? Who do I want to be? Now, you can answer all or just one or two of those questions. However, pillar one of conscious creation is to know your desire. And also know this, that a clean and clear desire equals a strong energetic frequency in the process of creation. So, for example, you might say, I just want to take a break and go on a holiday all by myself. Now, you might say this whilst having a partner, having kids, having a business, running a team and having staff underneath you, whatever it might be. And although that desire is there, you feel shameful about it. You feel embarrassed or guilty. Is that bad? Is that bad that I just want to get away from my loved ones? Is that bad that I want nothing to do with my team or my staff at work for a week or two? And so what's happening here is that you have an awareness of your desire. There is a clarity of your desire, but it's not clean and clear. It's dirty and it's murky. Well, there's a level of clarity, but it's dirty. And by dirty, I mean that it's covered with shadow. It's covered with judgment. I know what I want, but I feel bad about it. I know what I want, but I'm wondering, is that a bad thing to want that? I feel like a bad person that I just want some time away from my partner and my kids, for example. And so what happens here is that a murky desire, a dirty desire equals a weak energetic frequency in the manifestation process. So a question that I have for you guys is, and this doesn't need to be overly specific, because a desire is different to a goal. So you might have a desire to get away, and you're very clear on the fact that that's what you want. I just want to get away. I don't know what it looks like just yet. I don't care. I just want to get away. And then as some time takes for that to desire to really land in your body, you get more clarity on what it looks like and what it feels like, and you're like, oh, I want to be in the mountains. I see a cabin, a wood log cabin in the mountains by a lake. And I feel it in 2 weeks' time, and all of a sudden your desire of getting away turns into a goal or a dream that has some specificity around it. So for the time being, your desire might just be, I just want a break, or I want some fun in my life, or I want some adventure, or I want a big chunk of money, or I want to feel free. Whatever it might be, as you come into pillar two, that's when you get more specifics. However, for the time being, I just want to check in and love for you to play along in the chat box. What do you want for yourself right now? Who do you want to become? How would you love to feel? What do you want from the rest of the year? It doesn't have to be, like I said, overly specific. Clients in the past have had a desire to be irresponsible with their money, for example. Other clients have had a desire to frolic. Before, I've had a desire to play. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know the specifics. But as much as I knew was, I want some play in my life. You might have a desire for rest. I checked in with a mate at the end of last year, and his desire was to be a recluse. He's like, I just want to be a recluse. And as soon as he said that to me, he shut down and retreated. And he's like, oh, no, it doesn't mean that I don't want to hang out with you. He thought that I took it personally and that it meant something about me. So in the moment of naming his desire, there was unconscious judgments that came in on his desire in that moment that then made him feel shameful or embarrassed or bad for wanting the thing that he wanted. And so pillar one is to know your desire. It's about having a clean and clear desire, which means no shadow around it, no shame, no guilt, no embarrassment, no feelings of, oh, is this bad or is this wrong? But just like, I just want to be a recluse. Oh, and I love that. It feels so good, even just to name the desire. It feels so good just to give myself permission to want the desire. Okay. All good, Diane, not a problem. Lisa, I have a desire to be inspired and have fun in my career, to grow and learn new things. Awesome. Valerie, I desire to have fun. Love it. Karen, I desire to feel rejuvenated, adventure, fun, an injection of money. The first desire will be done since I'm going to Bali, but the second one, let's see. Okay. Nicole, calm, connected, playful home life. Awesome. Fee, my desire, Bali. Great. Excellent. So pillar one is about knowing your desire, making it clean and clear, and then being connected to your self-value. As we drop down into pillar number two, this is about turning your desire into a dream and then committing to it. So this is where the specifics of your desire come about. This is where you might say, I want a cash injection into my reality. And then the specifics come about. And know this, you might be thinking you need all the specifics first for your dream to then come into reality. Not necessarily. There's subtleties here. There are nuances here. Sometimes yes and sometimes no. Now, that might not give you the clear roadmap that you want moving forward. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, because you might think, what does that mean? And I'll provide some examples for you. So at the end, probably September 2021, I had a desire. I'm like, I just want a big chunk of money to come into my life. And I really allowed that desire to come into my body. I noticed there was no neediness around it. There was no attachment. There was just the enjoyment of that desire in my body. And then I ended up playing golf with a friend who was launching a crypto coin at the time. And he told me about the crypto coin, and there was an opportunity for me to invest at a very good price. So I had the desire for a big chunk of money to come into my life, yet I had not yet set the specifics of how much money I wanted or how I wanted it to come in or anything of that nature. And yet the specifics still came to me. And so I invested $5,000 in this opportunity. In 2.5 months, it turned into 85 grand. And I was like, holy shit, here's my big chunk of money that has just landed into my life from a clean and clear desire without any need for it to happen, without any attachment to it happening. And what happened was I didn't go, okay, I've got the desire for a big chunk of money. Now I need to rush into making it really specific. I followed my body, which ultimately led me to just forgetting about the desire and not thinking about it again. So there are times where you will be called to be more specific, and there are times where you will be called simply to enjoy the desire in the body. Another example is at the end of last year, I had a desire for a 50K launch in my business. And the specifics I already had, I knew that it was going to come from Infinite Flow. I knew that I was going to set the group price at this. I knew I was going to set the VIP price at 2.5 grand. And so there were already specifics that were set in place. And then I went about creating more specifics. I said, it's going to be on this date. I'm going to do this many programs in the launch. I have the capacity to hold X amount of VIPs, which means 25K of the 50 can come through VIPs. The rest will come through group experience. And so I had created a lot more specifics around the creation of the desire. Now, the subtleties and the nuances here really come through experience. There's no right or wrong. Sometimes rushing into specifics is fear-based. Sometimes delaying specifics is fear-based. So I just want to check in with you guys. Does that make sense? that sometimes rushing specifics is fear-based, sometimes delaying specifics is fear-based. If you could drop into the chat box, that makes sense. That would be awesome. If this doesn't make sense for you just yet, that's completely okay. If it does make sense for you, know that you are really tapping into one of the secrets of the universe here. Know that you are tapping into a maturity and a balance and a deep understanding of how life works, that it's not black and white, that there's gray area, there's color, that it's not just always nothing will happen until you've got the specifics, that there are these subtleties that someone might say, okay, well, what's fear-based? Is it rushing in or is it delaying? I'm like, it can be both. If you're someone who always rushes in, maybe your call is to delay. If you're someone who always delays, maybe your call is to step in sooner. And so in my opinion and my experience, mastery comes from experience. You know, you might be thinking that you need to get all the information first to then make sure that you don't make the mistakes, but it's making the mistakes, and we could even throw that word out altogether, that gives you the experience, that has you tune into how things feel in your body, where you could go, I totally rushed into the specifics, or fuck, I've been delaying the specifics for so long. You're not going to figure that out from here. So you might be thinking that you need to get the information first, that you need to get as many insights and perspectives first before you act. That's wrong. Know that acting first is what will give you the experiential data, the experiential knowledge, which I believe knowledge through action becomes wisdom. So really getting an in-tune felt sense of these subtleties comes from action. Makes sense, totally makes sense. Charmaine says, doesn't make sense. I feel confused right now, so I'm just going to let that be. Yep, cool. But then we've got a yes, makes sense at the bottom. Okay, Charmaine says, as I just asked this, my desire is to be around no one and do nothing. And that definitely isn't the thing I'm working towards right now. Cool. Very cool insight to have that. Crystal Lee says, my desire for the rest of this year is to take a break from parenting full time. Cool. I'm currently on a holiday away from my home state and my children. I really desire to take this time for myself and get financially abundant and live where I want to. Awesome. That was to my last comment before. Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Excellent. And the last thing with pillar 2 is boundaries. So for example, I've ran live infinite flow programs before, and I've been like, the cutoff is 7 p.m. Monday, the 1st of July. After that, you can't join. But internally, I've been like, I'd probably let people join. You know, maybe 2 or 3 days later, but that's the latest. So my boundaries were weak. Or I've said, this is the early bird, this is the paid in full, this is the payment plan. But internally, I'm like, but I'd probably do an extended payment plan. And so my boundaries around the dream had been weak and flimsy. So just as in pillar 1, a clean and clear desire equals a strong energetic frequency, clean and clear and firm boundaries equal a strong energetic frequency in the process of creation. And so in a program launch, for example, you might be like, oh, I'm nervous to say that this is the cutoff date and not accept anyone after it. But know that the times that I have been clean, clear, and firm in my boundaries of how many VIPs I'm available for, of the close-off date, of what the payment plans are and are not. The times that I've been clean and clear and firm on those boundaries are when I have been in a strong energetic frequency and are when I have had my best program launches. Same for one-to-ones. When I have a clean and clear and firm boundary around who I'm going to work with and who I'm not, what the payment plans are, what they are not, that's when I get the best. It's when I get the highest quality of person coming in, and the experience of them signing is the most enjoyable for myself and for them. Yeah, all good, Charmaine. Cool. Okay. Just checking the time. I would love to just check in with you guys. What's coming up for you at the moment from what I'm sharing? Maybe you're aware of where your desires are quite dirty and murky, and you're like, I know what I want, but I feel bad about it. And maybe you're aware of where you've got these flimsy boundaries on your dreams, and you're not all that specific. You're just hiding out in vague general dreams. So question for you is, what's arising in your body for you at this stage of the conversation? Then we have the 4 pillars of conscious creation. Oh, this is this is what we're talking about. Then we have pillar 3 and pillar 4 is what I meant to say. Pillar 3 is committing to action. And pillar 4 is trust, surrender, and following your intuition. So pillar 3 is about resources and abundance. So pillars number 1 and 2 are purely energetic concepts. It's like building the foundation and pouring the concrete slab that you're then going to build your dream home on. You don't want to rush it, but you also don't want to delay the process. You want to have a solid foundation to then build on. As you come into pillar 3, this is about committing to taking action. So it's about resources and abundance. This is about your ability to draw what you want to you. Know that your body is the magnet for attracting your reality. And if your body is in a state of lack and a state of scarcity and a state of doubt, then that is what you are a vibrational match for: scarcity, doubt, lack, and not enoughness. The boundaries here in pillar 3 aren't so much the boundaries around your dream, but are more so around boundaries of behavior, boundaries of execution, boundaries of treatment and behavior from others. So for example, a boundary that I have when people reach out to me is sometimes people reach out, and it hasn't happened for some time, but sometimes people reach out, and there was this one time someone reached out in just 20 minutes of voice message, over 10 different voice messages. And for me, they didn't know, so that's okay. And because I was quite in the warrior at the time, I was very clean and clear on it. I didn't feel like they'd stepped over my boundary because I understood that they didn't know. And I looked at it and I'm like, there's no way I'm available for 20 minutes of voice message. I'm not going to sit here and listen to 20 minutes of voice message here. And so I just replied to them. I'm like, hey, thanks for sending this through. I'm super keen to hear about where you're at and how I can help. Can you chunk this down to 3 to 5 minutes and 3 to 5 dot points? And I'm more than happy to listen and get back to you. So they had unknowingly crossed a boundary of mine, which was fine. It was then in that moment my job to communicate that boundary to them. Now, we were already in conversation, and then they shared the 20 minutes. And then my boundary was, that's a lot. You're going to have to chunk it down. There are other times where there hasn't been an open gate of communication just yet, or the last time that we spoke, the energy of that first conversation had definitely closed off. And someone might come back with this big old message of just where they're at in their life, asking for help, asking for advice. A boundary for me is check in with me first. And so there's times where I communicate to people. I'm just like, hey, thank you for reaching out. I really want to, have this conversation here and see where it goes. However, in future and for future reference, can you please make sure that you check in with me first as to whether or not I'm available to provide coaching for you? And they don't know, so it's my job to educate. And then I had someone reach out the other day and they were like, oh, these numbers have been coming up for me and my intuition has guided me to ask you, what do you get from your intuition when you tune into these numbers for me? And I said, hey, I'm not available to provide free insight and guidance for you at the moment. However, I'm more than open to discussing a paid option for you. And so, again, sometimes I'm available, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it's just because I don't feel like it. Other times, maybe I've had a deepening into my self-value and I'm just like, look, if you want that access, it's going to come at a price. And so at pillar 3, the boundaries are certainly a part of pillar 3, but just in a different flavor to pillar number 2. Bear with me, guys. We're going to have a quick sip of my water and then I'm going to check into the comments. Okay. Crystal Lee says I have to jump off, but if there's a replay, I'll definitely watch, not a problem. Nicole says I can see my wishy-washy dreams and my boundaries are definitely weak. Gotcha. Valerie says not specific in the further information. Yep. Lisa just throws out a little chuckle at something that I would have said at some point. Crystal Lee says I feel really clear and good right now. Definitely good compared to where I was when I first connected with you. Thank you. Yep. Awesome. Fee says, I'm feeling alignment with my desire, needing a chunk of money though. Gotcha. Karen says, I feel relieved since I surrendered in regard to my business, but at the same time, I feel sometimes that I'm on standby. Gotcha. My suggestion would be to open your body to that feeling of standby and let it release and move through. Charmaine, do you feel a difference when a boundary comes from the body or the mind? Yes, often at times, if a boundary is coming from the mind that is not yet in the body, it feels forced, and there's a degree of emotional effort to it, and a maintenance to keep it up. A boundary from the body feels clean, clear, grounded, powerful, and also very warm and welcoming and friendly. If a boundary is not yet in the body, but it's coming from the mind, it can have a bit of fuck off to it, with varying degrees of intensity. If you're wondering what I did just then, I was grabbing a mosquito. For myself, the body is usually quite clean and clear. And then pillar number 4 we have is trust, surrender, following your intuition. I'm going to move a little bit faster just because of time. So pillar 4 is there is more receiving that goes on here. This is when you've done the work of pillar 1, 2, and 3. You're taking the actions, and you allow results to come into your reality without thinking that you need to do more, do more, do more, do more. This is where instead of doubting the process, you are trusting the process. This is where instead of needing to earn the results emotionally, you receive the results with pleasure. That's all I'm going to share for that, because I'm going to get stuck into the archetype. So the prostitute shadow, and as we have here, the lover light archetype, this is pillar number 1. This is the clean and clear desire. So with the prostitute shadow, I'll tell you a little story. You may have already seen this story on Facebook or Instagram, but it was around July of 2020. The world was in an uncertain place. I had missed my flight back to Bali, from Melbourne to Bali, by a few days. And I was a couple of months into the whole COVID experience, living at my parents' place. My parents were in the other end of the room, and I went down to sit in front of the fire. Beautiful fire, had one light on that gives a nice soft glow, the warmth of the fire and the flickering of the flames kind of mesmerizing me into this absorbed present state with the darkness around me and the light that was in front. Got nice wooden walls, and you can see the exposed wooden frames of the roof. Provides a very beautiful, cozy experience, and it was a perfect opportunity for me to dive into some introspection. I'd recently been given an audio training on these 4 primary shadow archetypes, the first time going through them by my mentor at the time. And I remember the experience of being emotionally beat up, feeling pangs and you know, like knives in my chest, as if you've eaten ice cream that bit too fast. And what really stood out for me most at the time was, in fact, the prostitute shadow. And especially the parts around not valuing myself enough. No one buying the high ticket offers, only selling low ticket offers. Always feeling like I needed to give in order to get, always feeling like I needed to add extra bonuses to get people onto a free webinar, or add extra bonuses to get them into a low ticket paid program. And despite being someone who was like, I know that I'm good at what I do, like I know that I get great results, I know that I'm valuable, I know that I'm worthy, you know, I know that I'm a good person. Despite all these, I know. Through this experience, what I realized I was missing was the embodiment of value. And the prostitute shadow lacks a connection to a felt sense of value. And you might resonate with that. Just comment below in the chat box if you do, where you're just like, I know I'm a good person. I know that I'm good at what I do. I know I can get great results in the work that I do. You know, I know that people love it as well. I know it gets good feedback. And yet you're just not getting the results that you want. You're not receiving the validation or the recognition or the acknowledgement that you want. If this is your experience, you're in the prostitute shadow, meaning you are lacking a felt sense of value within your body. And that was my experience when I first dove into these audio trainings. And you might be thinking this, you might be thinking that, okay, well, as I create these emotional shifts, there's still going to be a bunch of action that I need to take in order to produce results. Not necessarily, that wasn't my experience. As I shifted my value, my reality reflected it, and I actually did less, which I'll tell you more about in a moment. And you might be thinking, oh, I really need to dive into and learn a whole lot more about these archetypes before I can get some value or some results from them. No. The one trait and characteristic that I dove into when I first learned about them was self-value. And by focusing on just that one, yield massive, massive results and change for me. And you might be involved in other programs at the moment and think, I need them to stop before I can start getting into the archetypes, because that could be too much. I disagree. I've never found any other work to be more supportive and inclusive of the work that I was currently doing at the time than the primary shadow archetypes, because of the depth and accuracy of insight that they provide and the speed of growth and transformation that they offer. And so as I admitted to myself, I just don't feel that I'm all that valuable, as I felt the cringe of, you know, I've got to give in order to get, I'm only selling low ticket, no one's buying high ticket. As I just felt the cringe and the discomfort of all of those and released them from the body, automatically I connected to deeper felt senses of value in my body. And then I doubled the price of my Infinite Flow program, like that. And like when I say like that, the moment that that came through the body into the mind, boom, it was decided. And it went from $500 to $1,000. 500 no longer felt good. It felt icky. It felt uncomfortable. It felt like I was so undervaluing myself. And then the next time I launched Infinite Flow, I launched it more confidently at $1,000 than I did at 500. I had more people sign up at 1,000 than I did at 500. And I ended up having my best launch to date. I did less because I was no longer engaged in I was no longer engaged and unconsciously buying into these unnecessary overgiving behaviors of the prostitute shadow. And instead, I'd stepped into the self-value of the lover archetype. And now the lover has an energy that naturally draws recognition from others without trying. The lover knows what it wants at all times. The lover draws what it wants to it by being so deeply in love with it. And so if you would like to, or like the idea or the sound of embodying the lover archetype that's already existed within you, but which is just covered up by the shadow of the prostitute, then just drop into the chat box lover as I check the chat for any comments that have come through. Lisa, I know it, but I don't embody it sometimes. Christy says yes, yes, yes. Karen says yes. Lisa says, so if there's a little doubt surfacing at pillar 4, then just release feeling it in your body and perhaps do a surrender meditation. Yep, allow the doubt to release. Christy says, lover. Awesome. Cool. The child shadow. Now, let me tell you a story. about a client of mine, Grace, who at the time thought that what they wanted, and in fact what they were hiding behind, was I want to have multi-million-dollar months in my business. I want to have a multi-million-dollar business. And they thought they were clean and clear. They thought they were going after it, but really they were hiding in the vague and general and ambiguous dream of the child shadow, which is a dream at times that is so far beyond you and your capacity to create it right now that you don't feel bad if you don't. And that also doesn't evoke any feeling in your body. And now I said to them, I said, you've said this a couple of times. What's your goal? Multi-million-dollars in a year. And I'm like, that's really fucking vague, and you don't even have the energetic capacity to create it just yet. So let's bring that down. Let's get some specificity. And what the specificity turned out to be was $20,000 months in them through their membership program. And then what happened for them was that night they woke up at 3 a.m. in a shock of anxiety, because the specificity of the goal then began to evoke the feeling. It began to trigger the emotion, trigger the doubts, trigger the insecurities, and trigger the fears that previously weren't triggered when the goal was vague, general, ambiguous, and so far away from where they're currently at. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, please just comment below, makes sense, into the chat box. So with the child shadow, what you want to do is you want to be bringing the dream closer to you. And you might be thinking this, you might be thinking, but I'm always told to dream big. I'm always told to dream big. I need to dream big. If I don't dream big, it won't happen. Not the case. What happens is there are many times where you need to start dreaming smaller to evoke the emotion, to build the momentum, to then catapult you towards the big dream. And you might be thinking, I can't get started yet. I need all the specifics. Like I said at the start, not necessarily. You might be thinking, I need to get all the specifics first until I start with a mentor, until I start with a coach, until I join a program. Not the case. Remember that taking the action and going through experience is what's going to give you the specifics that you need. Stalling and waiting for specifics is the slow way forward. And so as you make this shift, you step into the sovereign. The sovereign is where I have had the clean and clear boundaries around when the cutoff date is, how many VIPs I'm available for, what the payment plan is and what the payment plan isn't. Because a great question to ask is, do I want people paying, for example, my lowest payment plan for Infinite Flow is $150 a week. And the question is, do I want people paying on $50 a week? And my answer is no. And it's also not my responsibility to make it $50 a week for that person. I might come to a point in my business where I'm just like, I really want to help that person, and all of a sudden the payment plan changes. But at the current time, it's not in alignment with my desire. So as you step into the sovereign, you're your own internal source of permission. You're clean and clear on the specificities of your dream and on the boundaries of your dream, what you are and are not available for. But if you're weak and flimsy and you're available for something that isn't in alignment with your desires, then life just says, okay, you're the creator. You tell me. Just going to have a quick sip of my water here. I'm just going to check into the chat box once more. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. Christina, I feel this far I've been in a play between prostitute and lover. Yeah, totally. Valerie, yes, lover is starting to come through me. However, still not truly knowing what I want. Still not knowing truly what you want is a symptom of the prostitute. As the lover always knows what it wants. If you can feel the lover emerging, that's amazing. Your fastest way forward is to not get caught up on clinging onto any lover, but to admit the prostitute. Christina, I feel like you're telling stories from different events in my life. Gotcha. Valerie, yes, I've only just started doing this recently. Cool. Lisa says, the best advice you gave me was to experience. It's been a game changer for me. Fantastic. Cool. Then you come to pillar 3, which is about the commitment to taking action and the boundaries of behavior, let's call them. This is about the physical manifestation of the energetic concepts and pillars of 1 and 2 into the raw material, into physical matter. Now, I remember a time where I was in struggle. You know, there were angles of my life that you could look at and be like, this guy's doing pretty well. He's running his own business. He's living in Bali. You know, he's doing work that he loves. He's ticking some boxes there and has an element of time freedom or independence, autonomy. And yet there was definitely struggle that was taking place in my life as well. I remember having shift after shift, and the experience of each shift was as if there was still more tests to go, still more lessons to come. I still hadn't learnt enough. And it felt like a release and a relief, but with an immediate pushback. When someone gives you a compliment on the paint job you've done of your house, and you're like, yeah, but I missed a couple of spots over here and there and whatnot, you immediately pull it down. Where there's this feeling of time is running out, resources are running out. There's a general feeling of running out in your body rather than, so it's a feeling of running out and leaving rather than a feeling of filling up and staying. Very much the victim shadow. The victim shadow is not going very far and not going very fast. I'd been in business for some time and I was noticing people who'd started after me moving further forward than me. And disheartening, tiring. Why me? Why do I have to do this alone? Not feeling the support of life, but constantly feeling as life is pushing back up against me. And therefore that in one way or another, on some level of my body or another, every waking moment had some degree of fight, some degree of push. I wasn't in the rested state that I wanted to be in, that I wanted to live and create from. And then there was a moment where through the guidance and the inside of my body, I really became aware of the subtlety or the insight or the distinction of the feelings of running out and leaving versus filling up and staying. And it was in that moment that I allowed myself to open up to and have the emotional experience of all my money running out happen in my body, of all the time running out happen in my body. And by doing so, I was releasing the frequency of scarcity from my energetic signature. When you're constantly fighting against that feeling that's in your body, you'll have an overactive mind. You'll always be looking at, what else can I do? What more do I need to do? You'll be influenced by, I can't afford this, I can't afford that. You'll always have a feeling of chasing. I've got to go after this. I've got to go get this. If I slow down and stop and be still, nothing's going to happen. Nothing will come to me. Not only that, things will go worse and things will go backwards. And so you might be thinking, I can't afford to slow down at this time of my life right now. I can't afford to be internally still. But what I want you to know is that slowing down internally is truly the way to going fast. Slowing down internally is truly the way to going fast. You can always afford to slow down internally. You can always afford to practice internal stillness now. And both of which will have the biggest return on reward, the biggest return on investment for you. And when you do so, you step into the warrior. Because as you let that scarcity out of the body, by the nature of subtracting scarcity, you're left with a felt sense of abundance. So I just want to check in with you guys as well. That little sequence I've shared there around scarcity, releasing, running out and leaving versus filling up and staying. Does that make sense? Whether it's just in your mind at the moment or maybe a felt sense in your body. If you can just drop that into the chat box, that'd be great. Makes sense, says Val. Yes, says Lisa. I feel that, says Nicole. Absolutely, says Charmaine. Awesome. Yes, says Fee. Gosh, it gives me chills, says Christina. Cool. That is when you step into the warrior. Okay, guys, we're going to go a little bit over time. But that's all good. If you need to go, that's fine. Then we come into the saboteur and the magician. This is pillar number 4. Now, who's guilty of hunting shadows? Looking for another one, getting addicted to the release of, insight, perspective, shift it, release, insight, perspective, shift it, release, insight, perspective, shift it, release, where you feel as if though you're doing stuff, you're getting stuff done, you're making shit happen, you're being productive. Who can relate to that experience? Aaron says, although it can be hard to slow down internally, it does propel you forward 100%. Yes. Fee says, that's why where I'm coming from, a place of scarcity with my desires, but not needing money. Yes. Charmaine says, yep. Christy says, so we move in and out through each shadow archetype. Yeah, totally. Sometimes one shadow will be more prominent than the other. All are taking place at one time in one way or another. And you'll also cycle through. You'll do some prostitute here. And then this point of your life, boom, deeper aspects or different traits of prostitute. So it's an ongoing journey. So the saboteur is up in the head. It's a weak masculine energy that is doubt, doubt, doubt. What else can I do? What more needs to get done? What am I missing? What are these questions saying on a vibrational level? What else can I do? Is saying there's something else that needs to get done. This is not yet complete. What's missing? Something is missing before this can happen. What more needs to get done? I have not yet done enough for this to happen. And so the saboteur is in an energy of doubt. Many times I have got caught into release, 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 release. And that if I'm not shifting, if I'm not releasing, nothing's happening. And you might be thinking the same. If I'm not releasing and I'm not shifting, nothing's happening. And so you go back in from a place of doubt to try and make a release happen. And you might be thinking that that's the way to go, but it's not. The way to go is to keep your body open and trust that what's happening right now, even if it's nothing, is exactly what's meant to be happening. Because as you do so, and as you keep your body open, what you will come across is doubt of the present moment. You're just like, I don't think I've done enough yet. I don't believe that what I want is to happen is going to happen. But if I keep shifting, getting into the energy, shifting, getting into the energy, shifting, 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 even though you're unaware of the fact that you're doing it from a place of doubt, you feel like you're making progress. You feel like you're being productive. You feel like you're making change happen. But you're being reactive from unconscious self-doubt. And so as you address the saboteur, you step into the magician. The magician knows that what you want to happen has already happened. The magician is deeply in trust. The magician is a strong feminine energy. And so is connected and tuned into the felt sense that what you want to happen already has. Just going to check the comments here. Can you come to a place of surrender? Yeah, absolutely you can. Lisa, definitely have been feeling, could I have done more? Doubt, because I want the desire so much. Yeah, I understand that for sure. Karen, what's happening right now is exactly what's meant to be happening. Love that. Yes. So what's happening right now is exactly what's meant to be happening, is even trusting the doubt. I'm trusting that the doubt that I'm having about this experience is exactly what's meant to be happening. Rather than closed off body, oh, there's doubt, I need to get rid of it, getting rid of the doubt, and then, oh, now I trust. I love this insight. This insight came into me middle of last year, which is trust is an open body. Doesn't matter what is in your field. Doesn't matter what is in your experience. Trust is an open body. If you have some doubt that comes up and you close your body off and you doubt the doubt because you think it shouldn't be there, it's going to ruin my manifestation, you're doubting the doubt. You're trying to get rid of the doubt from doubt. But if you leave the body open, what's happening right now is exactly what's meant to be happening. As you say that and leave your body open, you'll eventually come across a feeling of just like, oh, I don't believe it though. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You're like, I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't think it's going to happen. And you'll feel the pain, the sting, the knife in the chest of like, I don't believe it. I don't think I'm good enough. You'll feel that. But if you close off, fix, open up. Close off, fix, open up. You're only slowing down your progress because you're never staying open enough for long enough for those deeper doubts to release. When they do, that's when you'll connect to that place of trust. I'm going to check into the chat box. So you can swing in and out of both feelings at once. Yes. Valerie says, yep, I love that. Fee, yes, love that. Trust it out. No resistance when trusting. Exactly. Cool. So, yeah, you might be thinking that you need to have it all figured out to get started, but you don't. You need to get started and then things will figure out. What I'm going to share with you now, I'm briefly going to share two opportunities, in fact. The first one that I'm just going to talk about is the inner circle. So the inner circle is a hybrid of group coaching and of one-to-one coaching. 3 months, 3 people, 3 sessions per month. You will get your hot seat of coaching each session, so 9 sessions in total, of 15 to 20 minutes of one-to-one coaching. And there's also 3 months of Tuesday to Thursday Telegram access. I've run my first 2 inner circles earlier this year. They're, in fact, both of them finishing in about 2 weeks. Fucking awesome, super fun, insanely powerful. I'll be starting another 2 on Wednesday the 19th and Thursday the 20th of July. These are perfect for you if you are in a position where you're really ready for change and you're really committed to change. You are at the start or start to midpoint of a new way of being in the world. Maybe you've pivoted your business. Maybe you've left a job. Maybe the kids have left the house and it's, who am I now? Maybe you've operated in a way of burnout, but now you've had the call to go within yourself and be still. Maybe you are pursuing a new career opportunity in one way or another. And you're really wanting to get super clear on the direction, super clear on yourself, deeply embodied in your value, and just ultimately have my eyes and my intuition on you to point out your blind spots and remove the guesswork, so I can just point you to the inner work that you need to do so that you can nail this next phase and transition of your life in a really smooth and effective way. That's what the inner circle is about in a snapshot and who it's for. 3 months, 3 people per group, 9 sessions over the 3 months, and 3 months of Telegram access. Not only that, we'll be working with expanding your nervous system's capacity to hold what it is that you want. The greater your ability to hold, the greater your ability to receive. So that's a quick little snapshot. If you're interested in that, please just send me a personal message. And my invitation to you is that we can jump on a free deep dive call. What a free deep dive call is and looks like is an exploration of where you are now, where you want to get to. And once we've identified A and B, I will help you to uncover the primary internal projects that you need to work on, which could be relationship to money, self-value, prostitute shadow, embodying your identity of being a leader, for example. You identify what we would work on in the inner circle. You can then continue on into the inner circle with me, or you can take what you got from that conversation and go and work on it by yourself or with someone else if that's what feels to be the most aligned thing for you. So if you have a curiosity or some questions about the inner circle, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. Please just send me a personal message. And then if there is alignment to go to the next step of the deep dive conversation, we can go from there. Otherwise, the one-to-one shadow archetype analysis, I will share my screen once more. Like I said, if you've done one of these before, you are welcome to do another one again before the price goes up. I'm going to put the link in the Zoom chat. So if you could just copy and paste the link so that you've got it on your end. You've got about 48 hours to get these at the current price that they're at. So a one-to-one shadow archetype analysis. Get clarity on your next step so you can move forward with confidence and create with ease. Think of this as a one-to-one intuitive reading. It's delivered via Facebook Messenger, so it's not on a Zoom call or anything like that. It's delivered via Facebook Messenger. What happens is once you've purchased, I will take you through a series of questions that through the answers of your questions will elicit the primary shadow archetype that is playing out in your life right now that needs the most addressing. Not only will I identify the strongest archetype for you, but I will zone in on the specific traits and characteristics, how they're playing out in your life, why they're playing out in your life, and what to do about it. So you're not just going to get an overview, but you're going to get a how-to as well. I will do this by intuitively connecting to your energy field and reading the shadow archetype, and also reading the language that you've used and the archetype behind your language. This will give you a roadmap moving forward of this is what I need to do. This is the process to get me to the next stage. What also comes with the analysis down here is you get an audio training on your primary shadow archetype. I then provide you with a personalized audio breakdown of this is how and where and why this shadow is playing out and what to do about it. And you'll also receive a training on the art of surrender, so you can release the shadow and release the emotion, and also a guided meditation to help you with that as well. Now, these are currently $17 for a one-to-one shadow archetype analysis. At midnight Wednesday, so midnight tomorrow, so actually just a little over 24 hours, midnight tomorrow, they're going up to 147. Like I said, if you've done one of these before, you're more than welcome to do them again. It may be different for you. It may be similar. It might dive into the same archetype, but with different flavor. There might be a stronger focus of the embodiment of the light rather than the releasing of the shadow, for example. Either way, I will intuitively tune into and read the archetype behind the language that you've used in your answers and provide you with the guidance, the insight, the roadmap for the internal work that you need to be focusing on for the time being, and also why, so that you've got a deep understanding as to why you're being guided in the direction that you are, along with a process to help you make sure that you make that shift. That is it from me. I'll jump over to you guys and see if you have any questions. I'm happy to hang around for a few more minutes. I appreciate you guys staying over, as we are 10 minutes over. But let me know. If you're all good, comment below all good in the chat box. If you're interested in an archetype analysis, the link has just been popped into the chat again. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer for you. But if you are all good, please let me know all good. If you're interested in the inner circle, please send me a message just letting me know, hey, I'm interested in the inner circle. There's no commitment at this stage. It is just interest. Maybe all you want is some more information and to learn more. But if you have a question, drop it below into the chat box. If you're all good, so that I know where you're at, please comment below all good, and I'll either answer any questions or wrap things up. Christina, love the value you're providing, Andrew. Love the quality of your masterclass and your generosity. So appreciated. Awesome. You are welcome. Thank you. Can we share the link with friends? You most certainly can. Fee, thank you, Andrew. Wealth of wisdom. Janet, all good. Christina, all good. Fee, all good. Karen, all good. All good. Nicole, excellent. Right. Well, all good. Awesome. All right, guys, pleasure having you all here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Take care.